don't know if you could see, but our audience today is Sasha, and I believe that she has a couple great questions for us at the end. Have you ever been at the mall and saw a kid absolutely lose it if they didn't get their toys from their store or if their ice cream was taken away? Now think back to the last time you were at a family party or a party in general, and an extremely uncomfortable situation prevailed when the child or teenager's privileges got taken away, whether it was Kindle, whether it was their iPad, or phone privileges, or their internet privileges. The internet is an extremely helpful tool, especially with this worldwide pandemic known as Corona that has taken over the globe. Books are a great resource. However, our libraries, public and school, have been closed, and our sources for specific papers have been limited to the amount of internet resources we use. Books, however, are for sale, but money isn't exactly to be spent frivolously during this time. Technology also can restrict our creative outlets. Social media can blossom our creative outlets. It depends on how you use it. A way that has restricted myself is through spell check. I was recently hired at a security company. At the end of the day, every day, we have to write a report of what happened during our shift. This could be a 4-hour shift, this could be a 12-hour shift. You have to make sure that you write everything down. In order to be hired, you must take a test to make sure that you are literate. In this test, there are several lists of words. I believe that 3 were correctly spelled. You had to determine which 3 were correctly spelled, and you had to correct the other words in order to get a good score, and that was determined during the hiring process. Now, however, if you are medically dependent, I am not talking about this, because being medically dependent is not the same as being addicted or dependent on social media. Social media can be a great outlet. You can talk to people across the world. You can talk to relatives that you can't exactly see every single day, or even on the holidays or spring breaks, Christmas, summer vacations. Other than meeting new people, you can share your opinions, popular or unpopular. You can share recipes. You can also find things to do at home, whether it's fixing a drain, figuring out the right screwdriver to use to assemble an appliance. You can also learn how to strengthen or stretch a pulled muscle. I know this is extremely prevalent for me because I do play softball at Lakeland, and since the athletic trainer is not accessible to me to help when I do get injured throughout practice that I do on my own most of the time, sometimes social media or YouTube or the internet is the only outlet that I can use in order to help myself. It can, however, be addicting. Some people are extremely dependent on it. Excuse the lag. We'll just wait one moment. Driving is a great example of how we are dependent on technology. Back in the old days, a couple years ago, it was, hey, go 2 lefts and a right after the first stop sign at the end of the street. If you've passed the brick house, you've gone about 3 houses too far. That's how we used to get places that were within reason. Now, you'll see people that have their phones on their dashboards, on their seats, or in their hands while they're driving, which is an extreme distraction. And what happens when your phone dies? I know, and this may sound a little paranoid, that when I go places, I like to write down where I need to go and my directions back home, just in case my phone dies. But a lot of people have extreme anxiety when they cannot get back to where they need to be because they don't have their GPS accessible. Another way that this is a problem is location tracking devices. A great example is Life 360. A lot of people know it as the app that parents use to track their kids, and it is extremely helpful. However, you can also get a little micromanaging when you use it. It can track where the children are. This is primarily used for kids. between their parents and them. Where they are, their driving speeds, even if they aren't driving, what buildings they could be in, as well as what parts of the buildings they can be in. It's extremely, extremely specific. It also takes a lot of trust out of relationships. A lot of kids will go to great lengths to trick the Life 360 app, as well as other location monitoring apps, so that their parents don't know where they are. Another example is when spouses are suspicious of one another. And instead of trusting the spouse or having a face-to-face conversation with them about their suspicions, a lot of partners will go through the other partner's social media accounts and see what they've liked, what they've commented on, and what conversations that they've had. And that takes a lot of trust out of relationships. Social media is a great way to lift others. A lot of people are social media influencers, and they actually get paid to make creative, fun, and exciting content for their viewers to enjoy. They will post surveys a lot, and they're super fun and extremely short to fill out. They can help you determine what needs to be done well or better, what new things can be brought to the page that can make it more exciting and more enjoyable overall. But this is also extremely prevalent in cyberbullying, which is now illegal for good reason. This is basically when someone sits behind a screen, they can be anonymous or they can be themselves, and just says extremely hurtful or harmful things, as well as harasses another student or person. And this has been extremely detrimental to some people's mental health. And it's really not a great way to talk to people. Kik is a great example of cyberbullying. You can put your name in the device, but your account may not be linked to you personally. It is also an app that has been hacked, and people can actually discover users' locations. It was told one time that someone was abducted. They went and met someone that was found on a social media outlet. It actually has been told many times, and it's extremely prevalent, and is also a reason why social media may not be the best thing to do. Also, for Kik, going back, some people's home addresses have been found after the application has been hacked, which is extremely scary because Google Maps and Google Earth paired together, you can put the address in and even zoom in from the satellites and get the person's house on camera. And you might even be able to be so specific that you can see what room they're in. I'm actually standing in front of my window right now, and if someone was looking at me and hacked my accounts, they could probably see me in here right now, which is a little scary. This is also extremely prevalent when it comes to identity theft. So many people trust their phones with their passwords, their social security number, their bank security. What happens when that gets hacked? And it's not very difficult to hack someone's password and then get into their phone. In conclusion, as I said earlier, I demand that the government limits people's social media access, their technical access, and their electronic access, as it can be a great tool, but it can also be a little concerning how it affects people in their day-to-day lives. Whoa, Sasha is going to get her questions. Thank you. We have a couple questions from our wonderful audience who decided to go to the other side of the room. I apologize. What is the average time spent on social media around America and around the world? Well, Sasha, it's about 2 hours and 24 minutes a day. Now, some people do not go on social media at all, and some people go on for 7 hours a day, so it definitely varies. Oh, another great question. What is sent to the brain while hearing the ding of a phone? Well, Sasha, that is dopamine, which can also be associated with gambling, sex, and drugs, and other addictive substances. Another question. What percent of Americans are currently addicted to social media or electronics? Well, Sasha, that is 5 to 10% of Americans, which may seem low, but in the spectrum of things, that's millions of people. And our final question is, what are the most popular social media apps that are used? Well, Sasha, we have Facebook, we have Twitter, Snapchat, we have Instagram, and some people may use Kik. I'm really not sure. It is a little dated. It was extremely popular back in 2014 to 2016. Thank you for listening.